Hi, I talk a lot about nonprofits and associations having a learning strategy. There's a whole world of ways to move people to action, and it really helps when we are clear on how we build that bridge from where people are now to where they want to be. So, one idea that's really important to consider, particularly in this online environment, is how we balance scheduled and on demand anytime learning to help people learn. I love sharing success stories and how people are doing this. And so I am absolutely delighted to introduce you to Allison Shirk of Spark the Fire grant writing classes. Prior to COVID, Allison offered a full schedule of in person trainings. She has been particularly innovative in how she has built a learning strategy that blends that scheduled stuff and then the online anytime accessible stuff. Hi, Allison. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So tell us, what was your standard program prior to COVID?
Yeah, so when I started teaching grant writing classes, I think I taught my first one at the local public library. Just because I had been doing grant writing for so long, and I found that a lot of the nonprofits that I worked with needed that skill set. So I think it was maybe an hour or two long at the local library where I basically did this lecture style, here's how to write grants. And I really enjoyed doing it, and I got a lot of positive feedback. I realized it wasn't enough. And so over time, I've made the trainings longer. I've tried 3-day boot camps that incorporated an opportunity for students to actually write the proposal in class. Started teaching at Seattle Central, an 8-week course, 2 hours in the evening for 8 weeks, where we did more group exercises and learning, and then the writing would happen outside of class, which I think was much easier for students because I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to sit in a room full of people and focus on, writing something. So that's how it evolved. And then, of course, COVID hit. And so everything went from in-person classroom setting to online. And I really wanted to capture some of the things that were working well, like the group exercises, the discussions that we were having, problem-based discussions, and so on. And so I created sort of I guess, a hybrid online course that has all of the course content is on demand. You can go through it at your own pace. And there's, quizzes and surveys and, discussion that happens within that online environment. They turn in, they work on a grant proposal for 8 weeks, and I review it and give them feedback. But I think what's a little bit different, in addition to actually reviewing their work, is that we also do group Zoom conferences. So once a week, for an hour, we get the whole group together and we do problem-based discussions that are based on, either where they are in the curriculum, or what I'm seeing in their writing that kind of keeps coming up. And so that really provides an opportunity to dig deep into these discussions that, I sort of give them the problem, but then they do the discussion. They get to do, the part of working it out and sharing ideas. And that's been really fun.
That's awesome. So I'm hearing you hit kind of all of the key points in this online environment. So you're hitting the points of like doing the hard work together. You're hitting the points of having folks practice on their own time and come together and discuss it. You're maximizing this bandwidth issue that you don't always have to have a high bandwidth, let's all meet online where you have to maximize that you're spreading it out. You're giving up different opportunities for people to engage. You're creating opportunities for feedback. So in those discussions, you're getting feedback. Oh, did they actually learn what I needed them to learn? Or maybe I need to fill in some gaps, right? I mean, I'm sure
Right.
you're back filling like, oh, I need to say more about this point, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the course that I'm teaching, which is grant writing, I don't think you can teach writing without having students write and get their feedback on it. And so that's kind of curious that a lot of courses out there are they don't include that. piece. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you all about writing grants, but you're not actually going to do it.
Mhm.
And no one's
Mhm.
going to review it for you.
Mhm.
So, um, and I think over the years of, when I had like a 3-day boot camp, I'd kind of walk around class and look over shoulders and read with the students what they were writing and giving them feedback. It became quite apparent how important that hands-on opportunity plus the feedback really is, because I could see that they were hearing what I was saying and they were participating in the group activities, but when it came to the writing, maybe there was a big gap where there was just something critical that was being missed. So
Mhm.
by being able to read their writing and give the students feedback, it's just been pretty exceptional. The high quality grants that come out of the work.
What are you noticing in your participants? At first, are they kind of shy to engage, and then they get feedback and they get a feeling of success and confidence, or how are you seeing that unfold?
Yeah, that is something that is concerning. So I do a couple of things to help with that. One is at the beginning of the course, they do a self-assessment where they rate basically what are your strengths and what are your challenges, and rallying support from others, or just basic grammar skills, writing skills. So they give themselves an assessment and they share with me what their thoughts are. And then every time they turn in a writing assignment, I have a place at the top where they can share with me, here are the strengths that I am feeling in my proposal, and here's where I feel like I need a little help. That really helps me to go in and go, okay, now I know where your mind is as you're writing this, and I know exactly where, to focus in and give you feedback on this piece, or just encouragement and feedback. No, that looks great. That's not a reason for concern. You're doing great there.
I love that, because in responding to you with that prompt, they have to think about their own process, which is a great way for them to reinforce their learning. So, do you have any advice for folks who are in your position? They used to do stuff in person and now they're shifting into the online environment and really building out this learning strategy. Do you have any advice to share?
Well, a couple of things. The first applies not only to online learning, but also classroom based. Um, is that I was always kind of terrified of doing group work. I didn't know if it was really effective. It was something that I felt like I should do. And so I kept trying, but it didn't always just feel like anything was clicking. And it wasn't until I went, started my degree, my master's in education and adult learning, that I sort of understood the background of the brain and learning theory and why those group activities were important. And now that I know that, it's so much easier to design, um, not only design the group activities, but also to allow space for the students, like I said, in the discussions that we have, to really allow this space for them to engage. And that's something actually that you taught me as well, is to just be quiet a little bit and get, that longer than necessary pause that sometimes it takes for them to, reach out and start engaging and participating. So that's
Mhm.
one thing. And I guess the second thing is just when you're designing, and again, this is something I've learned quite a bit from you as well, Nancy, when you're designing the curriculum, um, to really look for places where the students can engage with it. And here's what you're going to learn. And now you've learned it. And here's what you just learned. And bringing that information in so many different ways. So there's a quiz here, there's a reading here, here's a little assignment that you can do. And that way you're really maximizing, videos to watch. So the more ways that you can provide the learning in different styles, the easier it's going to be for your students to capture the information that they need.
Yeah, it certainly helps to offer things in multiple ways so that you're not relearning the same thing in the same way. But if you don't quite understand it in one way, we can approach it at a different way. I love that. Well, if you need any help thinking about your learning strategy, folks, please be in touch. I'd be happy to talk with you. and recommend Spark the Fire grant writing classes to any nonprofit folks that you know looking to strengthen their fundraising skills. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for being with us today, Allison.
Thank you. It was fun.